Boy, can I help you?
Listen up. I'm bringing you the best content to ever exist in the door-to-door industry, from sales, leadership, recruiting, and personal development.
Why would I need that?
Because never before have we been able to collaborate with the top experts in their industries, sharing their secrets and techniques on what makes them the best.
Wait, who are you?
I'm your host, Sam Taggart, creator of the DDD Experts and DDD Con. Is there a place we can sit down?
Well, come on in.
Vanilla is the fastest way to increase your Google and Facebook reviews through text. With a 98% open rate, Vanilla Reviews is the simplest, cheapest way to interact and engage with customers. Visit us at vanillagood.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Sam Taggart with the Door to Door podcast. I'm here in Toronto, Canada. Actually, no, it's Hamilton, technically, right? It's not Toronto. It's Hamilton, Canada, and Ontario. And we are doing a podcast today with Sandro Cioci and D'Angelo, with D'Angelo and Sons and Aaron D'Angelo himself, one of the owners. And we're actually talking about how to dive into really inbound leads, how to manage those, how to create them, how to create branding, marketing, because you guys did $20 million in revenue in 2018 and on track to even bust through and explode that this year. So it's super exciting to have behemoths, giants, founding people, 40-something years in business out of Canada and all retail. It's not like a store market. So if you're listening to this and you're in Dallas or Florida where it's like, oh yeah, we just picked up like insurance business. This is like, no, we close loans, we close cash deals. Like that's impressive. So super excited to have you guys on the show. This will be fun. Welcome out.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Well,
awesome.
Thanks for having me the last couple of days, by the way.
We've enjoyed it.
This has been fun. They flew me all the way to Canada, and I ate some cool Greek food and Canadian food, Shawarma, yeah.
Getting me to say A?
Yeah, and getting me to say A. I smelled, we learned about eaves troughs. So if you're listening to this, change the term. It's not gutter anymore, it's eaves trough. And what other words? Color, favorites, they're all spelt weird.
It's roof, not roof.
Yeah, that's right.
Roof. No, so it's fun. Like, this is my first time to Canada, so it's appreciate you kind of warm welcoming.
You had your first sip of coffee too, espresso here.
Oh shoot, I did. I had my first little espresso shot. I figured I'd take a little sip. I fell into temptation. No, so tell me, what's your guys' backgrounds? Like, I mean, you obviously come from something different. It's a family business. Let's kind of start with you, Aaron. Like, was it kind of always like predestined for you to be like take over Dad's business?
No, we tried other things. We started 3-4 other companies, mostly service related. Tried the real estate agent angle, realized that sales was kind of a thing. And then when we came back to the business, we're like, I think we got a real shot at this. There's a huge market that we can really hone in the sales skills. If we can grow a brand big enough, we can really create a business here. And then that's when it really took off.
That's awesome. So at what point did you kind of make the transition? How old were you when you kind of like, hey, I want to jump into the roofing side?
So I worked with Dad from like right out of high school, so 17 years old. And then with him till about 2001, a really small company, just me and him. He got out of it 2006. 2006 was like, okay, this is just me. Let's give this a shot. So we started to really push. Brought on some people, had a ton of failure, didn't really catch traction till about 2008, 2009, and that's when my brother came on board with us, and then we said, okay, let's do this. Let's see if we can really make some noise.
That's cool. And I mean, to grow it to what it is, 590 reviews as a roofing company, 20 million as a just retail, like, I mean, that's impressive, especially in a village like Hamilton. Just kidding.
Thanks, man.
No, I learned this funny. Somebody knew I was coming to Hamilton, so they were like, oh, that's like a village. I'm like, dude, there's 500,000 people in Hamilton, and surrounding areas even more. It's like, guys, Toronto is massive. It's, isn't it like what, the second biggest in North America?
I think
third biggest city in North America, which is huge. So, what about you, Sandro? Kind of where do you come from?
Well, I started in the finance world. I kind of was out there over 10 years doing the banking thing, and out of high school I went to college for marketing, and then I took a business marketing class, and I was like, this is cool, this is fun stuff, and I was kind of out of the box thinking all the time, but I was stuck in the bank world. And then Aaron called me. I knew him and his brother from family friends, and their parents knew my parents, so I'm not a stranger at all, but gave me a call and said, hey, why don't you come over and, we got this business here, come and help out. And so I took the leap, and it's been great ever since, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you guys feel like some of your growing pains were from going from 2000, let's call it 6, 8, in that range where it's kind of this little are we doing this thing, to now where it's $20 million in revenue? I mean, obviously kind of ran into a few roadblocks and probably inefficiencies. Is there anything that you felt like kind of stands out that's oh, geez?
You need a longer podcast than just a few minutes. Everything pretty much can fail on every level.
Really?
But fulfillment's a big factor in Ontario. We're short manpower, which I think, talking with companies all over North America in general, everybody says the same thing. Yeah, we're short labor. So labor is a big factor. We had to get innovative to be able to fulfill that much business. And when you're doing average project, each year we're kind of up around 10,000 for an average project right now, but that's a lot of administration to go along with that too. So you have to really tighten up process and procedure to be able to pump 20 million worth of $8,000 to $10,000 at a time. So those were the things we had to get our heads around and clean up enough crews, make them polished enough so that our reputation isn't hurt either. That's a big factor.
Yeah,
so
because
we ran into a bit of that.
I was gonna say, to maintain that good of a reputation and have that big of scale, it's a tough combination.
Mm-hmm.
And what's cool, driving around, actually, I saw a truck, you know what I mean? And they're not even trucks, they're Sprinter vans, which is even cooler. It's kind of a unique. We've got two guys that are in roofing, but one drives a BMW, one drives an Audi. I'm like, where's the trucks? And they drive Sprinter vans. And I'm like, yes, this is innovative. This is not the typical roof. I love it. So, you've got this brand where you could probably go, I was out to dinner with a, alarm company out of, we were in Oakville. And I was like, yeah, I'm working with D'Angelo. Like, oh, D'Angelo? The fact that the dude knew you guys, he just knew you. It's that's impressive. That's hard to get to. So what are some best practices? And what we want to dive into is just kind of, what have you done to kind of maintain a brand, or what have you done that's unique? Like Sandro, I guess I'm going to direct this to you because you studied marketing, you're in banking, you're like, wait, but I've got this creativeness and I want to do marketing and blah, blah. What have you done to kind of keep that and market yourself, because you guys fill your sales guys' calendars every day?
Well, the key to it is not just doing one thing. You kind of have to do them all, and you have to do them all consistently, and also frequency. So if you're doing the newspaper or something and you do it 1 month and then you stop, and you're going to be like, well, I didn't get any leads from it, I'm going to turn it off. The fact that you have to be in there 12 months a year is the brand power that you're going to create. You may not see it first month, but then 6 months after, you're like, something's going on here. So it's definitely the frequency and the consistency of the message too. If the messaging on the truck is the same that's in the newspaper, and it's the same that's on the radio, and it's the same that's on your lawn sign, now they don't even remember where they saw you, but it's all the same, so it's hitting them 3 or 4 times when they do see you, so that you see some guy in Oakville now, and it's like, hey, I know them. I don't even know how he saw us, but if you have mixed messaging, you're not gonna get that many hits. It's gonna think of a different company, right?
So what's your message? How did you kind of determine your message, your story? What are some of the things that you've kind of branded yourself as?
Well, a big one was the kind of our branding of the D'AngeloRoofing.ca. We kind of worked on that with Aaron a lot, where it was who we are, what we do, and how to find us in one location, in one word, in one quick message, right? So that was our big kind of our home run, I think.
Cool.
Definitely.
And then I noticed you guys with the back of the trucks, you guys kind of use this dog as this mascot. How often are you using this dog, and what made you think of a dog on the back of the truck and this roof
So we created a jingle probably, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago that's on the radio.
Go ahead, sing it, Sandro.
Yeah, come on, Sandro. Come on. Let's hear the
singer.
jingle.
Not a singer.
Who let the dogs out? Roof.
Okay, it's kind of that,
It's
right?
from that song.
Yeah,
So
right?
I'm a DJ background, and one day I was driving to work, and I was like, that roof. I'm like, we do roofing. I'm like, we could tie this in. So I called Tom. Actually, who's one of our sales guys now, but he used to work at the radio station. I said, Tom, I got a great idea for a jingle, and he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So he takes it to his team, and they changed the wording a bit because we couldn't use because of copyright, but we basically got an awesome jingle now. That's who do you know, D'Angelo, roof. roof, 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 roof. So it's on the radio. Everyone hates it, but it's great because it's in their head all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's annoying. We want that.
To a
That's
point
great.
that when we stop at a stop sign, someone, a stoplight, someone will roll up beside us and roll the window down
And
and be
start
like,
screaming.
"Who do you know?" And then
Yeah.
our workers are like, "D'Angelo," and
Yeah.
it's like kind
It's
of
like
really
a
got
thing.
them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So now we've taken that and we're like, we need a dog mascot. We need a dog around here. So we started taking that jingle and embracing it and putting it on the advertising as well. And then that's why you'll see a dog on the back of the truck and he says roof, roof, roof. And everybody's like, that's the jingle, and it's all tying together, and it's a massive marketing push that is even further than what we've been doing, and we think it's going to be a massive, just a massive upkeep.
We basically look for everything we can to put our name on too. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. We converted regular bin service. Most people have bin delivery. We got our own bins and we branded bins. All of our vehicles, they are mobile billboards. So that was huge for us. So lawn signs, billboards, anything we can wrap, we wrap. Try to put as much noise out there as we can.
So how do you capture this? Okay, so you put all this noise out, and a lot of times you're like, is the noise doing anything? I'm assuming those questions you've had. Like, we put a billboard, or we do this, or we signs, or brand this. Like, how do you track? How do you calculate? How do you know your ROI based on inbound? Your phone's ringing, so it's doing something. But is there a way that you guys have found a way to kind of make sure that you're picking up the fruit when it's falling?
Yeah, so first off, you got to make sure you got a customer service team that's in place that can manage these leads, because if you do all that noise and then you can't take the call or take that inbound lead, you just wasted all your money and wasted all your time. So make sure that's very strong, and and they have a great process, and once that is, they will capture all the leads. And then we also ask, when we have one question, we don't get too deep into it, but how did you hear about us on the phone every time? And then we track it in our CRM and we pull reporting. And now you'd be surprised when those reports come. You'll be like, okay, that certain person said that he saw us on a lawn sign, say. But if we've tested this, if you ask them a second question, have you ever seen our trucks? They'll say yes. Have you ever heard us on the radio? They would say yes. So really, that one item that they called in for, it wasn't really it. So if those numbers are almost skewed, because we know, because we're doing everything, that's why we're getting the lead. If we were only doing one thing, we would know that that's where we're getting our leads, and that's why they're so low. But the fact that they're getting hit on so many levels, they don't even know where they saw us. They just think of the last time they saw us and tell us that was it.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Do you do much on social media, like Facebook advertising, or?
We do a little bit on Facebook. We're gonna amp that up a bit this year. We want to get the social media going. Our Instagram is kind of just our kind of a company culture page. When we're at the home shows, we'll post it. For lead generating, we don't use it too much now, but we'll get there this year. We're gonna kind of push a media push this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about handling the lead. So you have customer service.
Yeah.
They kind of filter that lead and kind of say, where did you hear from us? Okay. Do they schedule appointment right then and there?
Yeah, so they take the phone call, the inquiry on the website, on the email or whatever, qualify it, and whether it's got to go to a service. Is it a service lead or is it a full replacement lead? And then we go to we schedule it right into we have all our guys' calendars, and we schedule it right in there with the time that's convenient for the client, right then and there. There's no callbacks. Because then if you have to call them back, you might not get them on the phone.
Yeah.
So you want to get them all done right there. Customer experience has got to be dead on and under maybe a minute, so that the client's not wasting a lot of time either.
It's okay. With
efficient.
time, we'll come out.
If
when
they
it works.
phone and they don't get somebody on our line here, the success rate of getting them back on the phone is very bad.
Yeah, and I've noticed that in my own business. It's like we've struggled. We have a lot of inbound, and it's like, because we put out a lot of noise, and it's like, man, I struggle at like systematizing, making sure that somebody answers that phone every time. And so if you're listening to this and I didn't answer your call, like, I apologize. We're still figuring that out. So let me ask you this, like, what from a sales guy's perspective, like I've got a lead on my calendar, or I was handed a lead, appointment was set. What's best practices going up to the home, or making sure that converts at the highest level the first time, so it's not this like kicking tires, or like, is there any best practices you'd say, like, make sure your sales guy does this and it has a higher success rate?
How do our guys close more?
Yeah.
Well, one of the key things is they love working here because we put out so much noise.
Yeah.
So being the big guy in town, that brand recognition is there. So these guys are going up the door, they feel like the big guy. And a lot of times customers expect us to be substantially higher. And when they're like, well, you're kind of almost the same price, maybe slightly higher, a little bit higher, and then that's great. And we say, yeah, that's perfectly normal, but you've obviously seen us around. We're going to be around for a long time. We're not going anywhere. Like, that's kind of our shtick. We've been around since '78, but the common stats are that like 80% go out of business in the first few years. They don't know how to run a business, or for whatever reason they're gone. So we're going to be here, and the guys love working for us because they know that it's kind of like fishing with dynamite. Makes it easy for them. And
Yeah.
we drive that. We really push that.
That's cool. So just you push the reputation,
Yeah.
the solidity. So let's say I'm a startup company. What advice would you give them? Where would you say put your focus first? Like, they might not have a $500,000 budget to go spend on marketing every year. You know what I mean? Like, so what advice would you give kind of that little guy that's like, I'm still trying to figure it out?
Door knock.
No, and
Yeah.
that, guys, here's what's so cool. And I'm glad that you said that because, guys, this is a traditional business that has 20 million in revenue, and why do they have Sam Taggart in his office? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, wait, Sam, why are you even out there? This is D2D, right? And they're saying, how do we disrupt ourselves, right? And it's like, yeah, why start door knock? Like, why have me out? What's the next thing?
It's such a good question. Like, it's easy for us to say, like Sandro just said, well, we don't know exactly what works. Well, if you spend $50,000 to $100,000 a month in advertising, $10,000, $20,000 gets wasted. It's like, well, it was some brand recognition. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. But if you're starting off and you got to start pumping these numbers out, that's kind of real. It's maybe coming from who knows where. That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So start off door knocking, continue door knocking. Sure, we're loving it. We're embracing it. We're going to eat, sleep, breathe the door knock. But starting off, why not push that even harder? If you get one lead come in, great. Go to that one lead, but man, canvas the whole area. And then when you actually get a job, embrace it. Say, I'm here, I'm doing this one. I'm going to get all the leads around it, and they cost me nothing.
So this is what's interesting. And if I'm not, I'm trying to cross any boundaries, but like I always get nervous going to companies like this, right? There's kind of there's these boundaries that a lot of people have. They're like, I'm not a door-to-door company, right? Like I get that all the time. Like I'll go speak and I'll go, train a bunch of companies, and they're like, oh, but we don't do door-to-door. We don't want to be seen as that guys, or I could never do that. Like they're kind of almost use the marketing as a crutch. I think what makes you guys unique, which I just learned today after a couple of days working with you guys, it was, you guys have door knocked your whole lives. You know what I mean? Like Jehovah's Witness. Like, am I okay to say that? Like,
Sure.
And it's the fact that it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you could, like, you got this. Like, you're already part of the tribe. Like, it's like, you know what it's like, and that just kind of gave me this, like, oh, yeah, they got it. And I think it's this cultural, like, acceptance if you can just say, look, we get what door knocking's like. We know the feeling. We know how it is. Like, this is an easy transition. Like, this is and kind of speak to that for a second.
Well, you just said, like, what's if I'm a new business? How do I launch? To answer to that, how do I launch? We're a new business in new markets. Like, here we are fully embracing Hamilton, and we're really kicking some butt. Great. I'm not saying we're the best or anything, but we're doing pretty good. And we're saying, let's move into a new market. How do we do this? Well, what can we do? Can we just go through our list and say, yeah, let's start doing some billboards and some ads and this? Well, we're going to put our money where our mouth is and do what you're saying, because, look, we are new. We're going to be new in that market, and we knew what it took to get here, and the amount of advertising dollars to get our phone to ring like this. It doesn't seem like it's worth it. It's a tougher go.
This is a tough go.
It's a way tougher go to go like this. We had 10 years of eating dirt, spending money, trying to get the ball rolling. Now it's easy. Sure.
Not sure if it was working at the
beginning.
beginning.
We have momentum now. That's
money.
great, and the momentum kind of gets it going, but. Door knock? Yeah, we're used to door knocking, no problem. Door knock, get somebody angry at you, sure, but they actually need this service. So we can see your roof needs something. Doing one down the street, would you be so inclined to let us give you a free inspection? Like, why not? And we'll probably get, I don't know, you know the stats, but I'm sure I'll get 100 no's, but I get 1 or 2 yeses a day. That's huge. And what did that cost me as a company? Nothing, just sales commission. Advertising budget can go towards it too. Great. And it's a way to infiltrate. How someone views us, well, who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
I'm out there going.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, that's a lesson to be said for a lot of people. like a lot of people, because like you just said, Sandro, you're like, there are so many times where it's just like throwing money, and it's just like, that is called the toilet. Like, flush that 50 grand. You know, do you have any interesting stories of that? Like, where it's kind of like, oh, that was a miss.
Well, he likes to talk about it.
I'm not going to.
Yes, let's hear it. I think I hit a chord here.
No, we spent a ton of money on billboards because,
Okay.
I mean, we like it. We have mobile billboards everywhere, like our trucks, but we said, I got sold on the billboards that are at the corners, and I'm not saying they didn't work, but the stats when they called in said they didn't see our billboards, but we spent probably close to 100,000.
6 figures on it, yeah. And no,
Who's
you
to
can
say?
you can put it into a different funnel though, and say, look, there's brand recognition dollars, and then there's direct campaigns that lead to leads. Like it's like I did this, I got a lead. I put a promo as a call to action, I got a lead. So we're not going to say that the campaign didn't work. It's just $100,000 is quite a bit of money. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And I think a lot of people that's like, and yeah, I mean, you just play big. You're playing big, and it's like you sometimes when you play big, you miss, and sometimes when you play big, it's like, oh wow, that was like super sick. And do you have any stories like that where you're like, man, that $100,000 was like the best thing on the planet? Do you have any of those?
Which one worked? Well, you can run through the list and talk about the strength of each one, but like you still have strength in online.
Yeah, online's huge.
Just, you can't be a player without having an online presence. That's constantly being worked on.
So do you spend some kind of meaningful dollars on SEO and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Cool.
big money there. And we just redid the website last year too, so always keep your website updated if you can. Make sure it's fast. Make sure it's iPhone friendly, or mobile phone friendly.
Samsung friendly.
No, we don't talk Samsung.
Don't leave me out of this. Come on, Sandra.
But yeah, so just updating your stuff online, then the reviews is big. Like that's why we have, I think, over 500 for sure. To make sure your reviews there, because Google will kick you up if you have the high reviews.
Hashtag vanilla, people. Check it out, vanillagood.com. No, but I mean, that's like, I'm such an advocate that I believe in that so much. I bought an effing software company that does that because I was like, what if you could knock a door and just be like, yeah, we have 500 in reviews and the next closest has 50. So who do you want to go with? It's like, let's be real.
Yeah,
And it's a huge selling feature. So I like that you said that.
Yeah.
So what's next for you guys? Where's the future? Where's the vision?
I think Sam knows what we're gonna say.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
So outbound, we're embracing it. We're loving it. The whole canvas and junior sales reps and the big push into the market. We're gonna embrace it. We're gonna spend the next 3 months like actively putting massive action towards creating a team that is ready to get their head kicked in quite a bit. It's almost like expect failure, but then look at what that small funnel creates. By the time it boils down to your day or the end of a week, the numbers, there's companies that make us look like just little kids. So when we look at what these guys are doing, the numbers speak for themselves. We have no choice. That's the route you have to go.
I love it. So last question, and I appreciate you guys having me out here, being on the podcast. I was just like, guys, we got to throw in a podcast. This is fire.
We were not ready.
Yeah, like just threw it on them. So if you guys are listening to this, give them a big love and like for just sharing their nuggets. But if you could give the industry, let's just call it the home improvement industry. Let's specify it. What piece of advice would you give them?
We copy bigger companies than us, and smaller companies might take a look at us and say, what are these guys doing? What's the advice? Be happy with the wins that you do get because they keep you motivated. Embrace the small stuff throughout the day where you're like, hey, okay, I did pretty good. I did better than yesterday, and I'm motivated. I'm positive. I'm not going to snap my fingers and all of a sudden be $20 million. It didn't get there for us. Like, this is 20 years of like really grinding to get to a point that we're here, and you're going to hit your ceilings. Whether your ceiling is 500,000, your ceiling can be $1 million, might be $2 million. We're at a $20 million ceiling. We've been here for 3-4 years. We're having a hard time. So that's why we brought Sam out. So just enjoy the wins. Look at companies that are doing it better than you, and it might be outside of your circle. It might be outside of your market. Open up your wings and check out companies all over North America and say, what are these guys doing? Like, what? Never mind the 2-3 guys around me. What are guys doing elsewhere? And all of a sudden, your eyes are gonna be open to say, oh shoot, there's guys that are like just crushing it. We're like, wow, we're behind.
Yeah.
You start implementing maybe one thing at a time.
Yes.
If you try to just say, well, I'm going to come become them. No, pick one thing and do it well. And then when you get that next thing and the next thing, and eventually you'll have a nice structure.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Sandro?
Yeah, I think that's a big one because we kind of do it together. Aaron's kind of follow Aaron's lead, and that's kind of what we've been doing, and it's been working. I think I've been here 7 years, and every year at least one or two massive things that we do, and just to keep pushing the envelope.
One big one is get the right people on the bus.
That's a big one.
Good to Great was one of the big books that really pushed us, because if you get the right people on the bus, it doesn't matter if we're going to do roofs or siding, whatever we're going to get into, create a good team. Guys around you that are in your circle that all share a similar view, and it's like, man, we're motivated, my brother's motivated, Sandro's motivated, guys that are involved in sales or whatever avenue of your business, make sure that these guys are the right people. If they're not, fire fast. Move on. Don't keep them along for the ride.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys being on the show. If you guys like this, reach out. D'Angelo Roofing, they're awesome. And honestly, I love Canada, except it's the weather's not that great, eh?
Not today, anyway.
Much love. Hey, appreciate it, guys. We'll see you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.